Okay, guys, so in this unit, we've been talking a lot about writing linear equations, and we've mostly been using real-world situations, word problems, and you have to figure out how to write an equation to represent that real-world situation. But in each one, essentially, you're given some information, enough information to write the equation. You might be given different things. Sometimes you're given the slope and the y-intercept. Sometimes you're given 2 points. Sometimes you're given a point and the slope. So we're going to talk about in this little video, and you can use it along with your guided notes to know how to write the equation when you're given each one of these things, or these combinations of things, okay? So in this case, this is the easiest case, the slope and y-intercept. If you're given the slope and the y-intercept, guys, there's a reason why we call it slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. We know that slope is m and y-intercept is b. So in this case, if you're given those two things, you just put them where they go. Y equals negative 4x plus 5 would be the equation. You have to recognize the slope and the y-intercept in a word problem, but it's as easy as that. Now, if you're given a graph, you have to do just a little bit more work, but not too much. We know that slope is equal to the change in y over the change in x, and then we know that b is the y-intercept, or the point that looks like this, 0, y, and we've had to figure out what value y has. I'll write out y-intercept because you need to recognize that phrase, y-intercept. Okay, so in this case, we know that the y-intercept is right here at negative 2. So we can write the equation y equals mx minus 2. It's negative 2, so be careful. Now we have to figure out the slope, change in y over change in x. So remember how we choose 2 points. And between those 2 points, let's see, for my y, this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. So for my change in y, I'm going up 1, 2. I'm going up 2. So my change in y is 2. And then to get to that point on the x-axis, I have to go to the right 3. So my change in x is 3. So change in y over change in x is 2/3. So then I can write the equation y equals 2/3 x minus 2. Okay. Another situation you might encounter is they might give you a table. And it might not always say x and y. It may say actual things like time and height, or distance, or something like that. But essentially, the first column is going to be our input, or our x value, and the second column is going to be our output, or our y value. So we just go with that, no matter what the real world situation is. So again, we have to figure out 2 things, slope and y-intercept. Okay? And we said that y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. So they made it easy for us here, because when x is equal to 0, we know that y is equal to 10, right? So we know that our y-intercept is going to be 0, 10. So that's our b. But our change in y over change in x, we just have to figure that out. Our change in y from 5 to 10 is going to be 5, right? Our change in x from negative 2 to 0, now that might be a little bit tricky, but think about the number line. If you're at negative 2 on the number line and then you move to the right to 0, you're moving to the right 2 spots. So that's 5 over 2. That's our slope. So then we can write the equation. Y equals 5/2 x plus 10. Sometimes you're given a point and the slope. So when you see the word slope, know that that's m, and we can go ahead and write y equals 2x plus b. We know that that m goes right there. So we have y equals mx plus b, slope-intercept form. Okay, and then we have to figure out what b is. Well, we can take this point, because this is our x and our y, and it's a solution to this equation, so it's on the line, and so we can plug it into the equation. 7 equals 2 times 3 plus b. I put my x where it goes and my y where it goes. 7 equals 6 plus b. Then I subtract the 6 from both sides, and I have 1 equals b. As easy as that. B equals 1. So then I can write my completed equation, y equals 2x plus 1. Then the last situation you might be given is 2 points. Again, you have to recognize the 2 points in the word problem, but when you're given 2 points, this is how you write the equation. We're going to still use slope-intercept form, mx plus b. We have to figure out slope and y-intercept. Slope is change in y over change in x. So in this case, remember both of these terms, both of these points are written like this. X is first, y is second. So our change in y from 6 to 12, if you have $6 and then you all of a sudden have $12, somebody has given you $6, right? So your change in y is 6. And then the change in x from 2 to 4 is just 2, right? So we put that there. Now you can reduce that. 6 divided by 2 is actually 3, right? Okay, so again, we can write y equals 3x plus b. We still don't know what b is, but all we have to do is choose one of these points and plug it in the equation. I'm going to choose this one. So I'm going to, instead of that x, I'm going to write 6 equals 3, and I'm going to put my 2 in here, plus b. Okay, so I can say 6 equals 6 plus b. Then if I subtract 6 from both sides, in this case, 6 minus 6 is 0, so I end up with 0 equals b. That's okay, guys. 0 is a legitimate value for the y-intercept, and we don't say that it doesn't have a y-intercept. We say that the y-intercept is 0. In other words, this line crosses the y-axis at the origin, or the point 0, 0. Okay, so we can write the equation y equals 3x, and that's it.